Trout fishing is a solo sport for most anglers, and it's really the perfect sport to practice during the safer at home time of spring here in Wisconsin. Now I'm in the driftless area close to home, and I'm going to be fishing for trout today on a stream. I won't tell you the name of it. There are hundreds of miles of trout streams here, so lots of them to explore. But let's take a look at my gear first. I'm wearing stocking foot waders, and they actually are chest waders. They're taller than I need for a small stream like this, but I can get down on my knees if I have to, and if I were to fall in the water, I'm less likely to fill my boots. And got a waterproof jacket, a rain jacket that's a short waist-high jacket in case I go that deep, made for wading. And the stocking feet go into wading boots. Now these boots have rubber soles. They are not felt sole. That's something you don't want to wear anymore. These rubber soles will not keep any moisture, and they won't keep any invasive species that you might be picking up when you're walking in a stream. And we do have some invasives here in Wisconsin that we want to avoid spreading at all costs. So the stocking foot goes into the boot. There's a built-in gaiter on these waders, and that slips down over the boot, and it'll keep any gravel and sand, or most of it anyway, from getting into my boots. Now the jacket has pockets for my gear. It also has a loop on the back. I've got my landing net with a quick release snap. And this is a catch and release section of stream that we're starting on here. Taking a look at my actual tackle, this is a spinning rod. It's a 6-foot ultralight rod with a matching ultralight reel. And I'm using 4-pound test monofilament. And I'm using a fluorescent yellow monofilament. Some people would say, well, the trout can see that. Well, I think they can see clear line as well, and I can see this better. So I'm more concerned about my visibility than worrying about whether the trout see it. And we'll see if it makes a difference to them or not. Let's take a look at the actual baits I'll be using. This is a catch and release artificials only area. So I've got an assortment of spinners and crankbaits. This is a Panther Martin, very popular spinner. I'll show you what it looks like in the water in a little bit. I've got some crankbaits, diving baits with a lip. I've got a larger spinner with a bucktail on it. And I've got some smaller baits as well. Here are some more spinners, variety of colors and sizes. They're all jumbled together here, but we'll separate them when we're ready to fish. Here's a small one with bucktail. And some tiny little crankbaits. There's a baby perch. I don't know if there are any perch in this trout stream, but the trout seem to like that. And here's a little sucker imitation. These are floating baits that'll dive, 6 or 8 inches under the water. And I don't know what this is supposed to be, but I can see it, and certainly the trout can see it, and they seem to like it too. So we're going to start out today with a small Panther Martin spinner. And I always use a snap swivel with a ball bearing, because the spinner can twist your line if you don't have a ball bearing on there. And this snap has a positive lock, and it'll hold the spinner on there, and the ball bearing swivel will keep it from twisting my line. Now, one other piece of essential gear for trout fishing that I didn't mention is my polarized glasses, and I'm using the glasses with an amber lens today because it's overcast, and the polarized glasses let me see below the surface of the water. It cuts the glare, and it lets you see any approaching trout or look for hiding spots, rocks, and so on. So I'm going to put all these baits in my little tackle bag. And I can wear this around my waist. There we go. I'm also carrying 2 different forceps for removing hooks. This one is a smaller, more delicate forceps. It helps to remove a hook if a trout gets the bait too deep in its throat. And that clips right on a tab on the bag. Should stay there. And this one has a built-in scissors, so I can actually cut the line or cut anything I need to, usually just the line. And that hooks on the tab on the other side. All right, let's see what we can find in the creek here. There's a fish. See if we can land this one here. Yep. Where'd you go? There you are. All right. Got a small brown trout here. And it took the bait deeper than I would like, so forceps time. And you note I'm holding the fish upside down. It stays calmer that way. Usually, not always. Okay, we got the hook out. Very nice little, maybe a 10-inch brown. We'll put him back and see if we can't get another one. Well, I'm leaving this fast water here, and I'm going to try this other bank on the other side. It's slower, might be deep, might not. We'll find out. If it's deep enough to hold fish, it'll be interesting to see if we can get one out of there. I call this prospecting because I don't know this water, so I'm moving pretty quickly unless I find a good deep hole that looks like it ought to hold fish. So along this bank, I'm just going to move along and see if I can't bring a fish out from cover, and if not, we'll just keep going. Got about 100 yards of bank to work with here before the next bend. And we'll see what we've got. There's a fish. Ha ha. All right. That one hit right away, and that's a better fish. Get the net here. Oh, this is a nice fish. They're all nice, but this one's a little bigger than the other one. Come here, baby. All right. This is about a 13-inch brown, maybe. Pretty spots on it. Unhooked itself, that's handy. I'll just leave the net there for a second. Now that fish was tight against the bank, and he hit the spinner. As soon as it hit the water, I thought I was snagged at first, but when he started to roll and fight, I knew it was a fish, and there he goes. That was a beautiful fish. See if we can't find another one. Yeah, we got another one, little guy this time. Lightly hooked in the lip. Nice little brown trout. Probably an 8-inch fish. Well, we've proven that we can catch them on spinners here in the catch and release water, but one of the concepts of this segment is that we're foraging for food close to home. So let's go to a place where we can catch and keep trout and see if we can't catch a few. You go back and grow up, and we'll see you next year. Well, we've come to another section of the same stream where I caught those few trout earlier. Now this section allows us to keep 3 trout 8 inches long or longer. And my own personal keeping limit is about 10 inches. So we'll see what we can catch. And because we figured out what works here, at least worked on the other section of the stream, I've kind of pared down my gear. I've got 2 boxes of lures, 1 in each pocket, so I don't have to carry that handy fanny pack. But I'll bet you haven't seen one of these in a while. This is a wicker creel. This was actually my dad's creel, and he was an avid trout fisherman. Used this for many, many years, and now it's mine, and I use it whenever I'm going to keep some trout. And let me show you a trick that old-time fishermen have used for generations to keep trout cool on the stream. I don't see any ferns growing here. If I were in the woods, there might be some, but this tall grass will work as well. I'm going to just harvest some of this grass. It'll grow back, and I'm going to line the creel with it. And if we get a trout or two, we'll wet the grass, keep it in the creel, and the air moving through will evaporate and actually keep the trout cool. Now let's see where we're going to fish. Well, it looks like there's a lot of good water here, and I'm going to start below this bend and work my way up through this bend and see what we can find. Got to ease down to the water from this high bank. You want to do this slowly and carefully because you never know how deep the silt might be. Not too bad. Not too bad. In these agricultural areas, when there's floods, it really washes a lot of silt and topsoil into the streams, and unless the streams are fast, it collects on the bottom and covers up the substrate, the gravel and the rocks and all the good stuff, the trout and insects that they eat like. But it looks like there's enough of that here. Now let's see what we can find here. There's one. Oh, lost him. Son of a gun. Well, there are fish in here. That's a good sign. And that was a keeper too. You know, most people wouldn't think of camouflage being important for trout fishing, but in a sense, the clothes I'm wearing, dark green, dull colors, they kind of blend in with the gray and the green and the brown background. If I were fishing on a very bright sky day, a sunny day, I might be wearing a blue shirt that blends in better with the sky. I also try to keep a low profile, either stay in the water or actually kneel if I'm working close to a pool, to keep your shadow and to keep your profile down so the trout don't see you and spook. That's why you wear waders, boys and girls. That's why you wear waders. I just stepped off this gravel bar and I'm ankle deep in silt. There's a lot of it here. It looks like the fish are harder to come by in this water where you can keep a few. The easy ones have been caught, maybe. Maybe, and maybe not. We'll see. There's a fish. Oh, little guy. Don't need the net for you. Maybe 7-inch brown. Let him go. See if he's got a big sister. There's another one. I think we just might have lunch here. Oh yeah. Now there we go. That's what we're looking for. That's about a 10-inch brown. Legal to keep here, where we can keep 3 over 8 inches. So we're going to give him a little wrap on the head. Put him in the bed of grass. Dip that in the water. That's good and cool. Now see if we can find another one. Ah, bottom. Beaver food again. You know, I wrote a poem about this once. If I were a beaver, I'd have my lunch by now. because all I caught was an aspen twig, a willow, and a cow. Now beaver, he eats aspen, he eats that willow too. He doesn't care too much for oak because oaks are hard to chew, but he loves them tender softwoods, chews them up by gum. He chops them down with his big front teeth and tastes them with his tongue. And you know, he carries mud between his paws and packs it with his tail to build himself a winter lodge that's not for rent or sale, a sort of geobeavic dome. It's really quite a feat. And then he fills it full of aspen twigs so he'll have enough to eat. And when winter howls, so does the wolf as he sniffs that frozen mound. Beneath the ice, the beaver smiles, his family's safe and sound. There's more, but that's enough for now. That's right where that fish was. The dog, there he is again. Aha! Got you this time. Thought you'd get away, didn't you? Come here. We don't need the net for you. But that's why we use a net, because you don't have to go through all this gyrations here. Well, you know what? That's a 10-incher, so we'll keep him too. Then we'll look for a bigger one for number 3. You're all tangled up here. There we go. Oh yeah. Two down. All right. We will not take another one smaller than that, though. And I see why that fish I missed was holding here. There's a gravel bar and it drops into deeper water, and he was right below that drop. But he'll be there next time, and now I know what the water looks like. That's part of what I'm doing, is exploring, learning new water. Ah, there was another one. And if the stream doesn't change because of a storm or any other event that would change the flow, the second and third and fourth times you fish the stream, you'll usually do better because you have an idea of what to expect. And you're not walking through productive water without fishing it. That's where the polarized glasses help too, because I can see good spots, or possibly good spots. There was one. There are fish all through this stream. Now this water in front of me is deeper, slower, and the surface is smooth compared to the fast water behind me. So I'm not going to step into it just yet in case I might send ripples that would alert the fish to my presence. So I'm going to fish it from below the pool itself before I step into it. There's a fish. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Don't get into that fast water. Yeah, all right, go ahead. Oh, and it goes between my legs and I lose the net. And it's a race, folks. It's a race. Will I get the net? Will I get the fish? Will the fish get into the net? The answer is maybe, maybe not, and yes. All right, you made me work for it. Well, that's not exactly the smartest way, the best way to do it, but we got him. Another very nice brown trout, about 11 incher. Pretty fish, very tasty too. Into the creel you go. Well, now we've got a limit and we've got enough for dinner.